YouTube Tuesday from Barnabas Junction, brought to you in association with the Model Railway YouTube Community Group, MRYCG, connecting the Model Railway community together. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. Just search for MRYCG.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of YouTube Tuesday with myself, Jason, over here at Barnabas Junction. Thank you all for joining me. Let's have a look at who's in the chat. Great to see so many of you already chatting away. Good. Good evening. Let's scroll back. Good evening to Brian of Finnerton Central, Ray at Amtrak Junction, Flymo Chairman, Hemel Down at Mod Railway. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Chelmsford Junction, Pete. Clive Cabold, good evening. Thomas Whittington, good evening to you. Thomas again, Crossways Point Junction, good evening to you, Bernie. Ebsworth Street, good evening to you. That was last week's Modeller's Moment. Simon over at Simon's Model Railway Showcase, hashtag blame Simon if it goes wrong. Tonight, Andrew Sartorius, good evening to you. CSX Wrensville, good evening to you also. March West Junction TMD, good evening. Welcome to tonight. St. Mary's Church Model Railway, good evening to you also, my friend. Who else have we got? The chat's going faster than I'm reading it. Mike Pringle, good evening to you. Everyone's chatting away. The Canadian Rail Fan, a new name to the stream. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Right, so, Simon, the Railway Enthusiast 83, good evening to you also. Thank you all for joining us. Many of you already in the stream already. Also, if you can do, then please share the stream out with all your fellow modelling friends. Let's get them in here and let's talk about model railways. And the big question which is on tonight is ballasting. Do you love it or loathe it? That is tonight's big question. And for those that do like ballasting, have I got a treat for you? And for those that don't like ballasting, you're going to see me maybe make a complete hash of it. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. So good evening to one and all for joining me tonight. Right. Everyone's still saying hello to one another. So good evening to you all. First of all, then, we need to do the essential, and that is to say a big thank you to all channel supporting members. Thank you to all for supporting the channel in one way or another with all your perks that you can get. I've just updated them. We are into stage 3 of updating the channel and memberships. So if you're interested in becoming a member, links are in the description below. Please feel free to go check them out. And if you're interested, please do join. So a big thank you to those that are current channel supporting members: the Train Freak, Owens Model Railways, Leicester Station and TMD, Building the ELR Step by Step, Simon's Trains Model Railway Showcase, Flint Hills Model Railway Jeff Hammond, Crossways Point Junction, Eagle Creek Yard, Darren Faulkner, Sparky 107, Donegal Dad, Mike Pringle, Dave Smith, Paul Sinek, Containerman 68, Hollybrook Junction, The Growler, Blackwood Engage, Chris Job, Hernborough, Double O Gauge, New Durham Junction Model Railway, Steve Lockhart of Route 7, Valleybrook 2, Charlie McGowan, David, I'll just put that back up, John A. Dawson, Effingham, and Micro Scenics. All links to their channels are in the description below. Please go check them out. I highly appreciate if you do. And if you do, make sure you do, you're not already, subscribe and also click the bell for future notifications. Select all to ensure you receive notifications from YouTube of any uploads that any channels do publish. So a big thank you to all of you that are current channel supporting members. I do highly appreciate it. It does help towards doing these videos and bringing a show to you each and every week. Now, talking of each and every week, in 2 weeks' time, I want your input on the show because for those that you follow football, as you will know, the Euros are about to start, and England are actually playing. The kickoff is at 8 p.m. on the Tuesday in 2 weeks' time. So obviously, a lot of people are going to be wanting to watch the football. A lot of people probably won't want to watch the football. I want your thoughts. Do I do the show a little bit earlier, or should we have a week off and enjoy the football? I'll leave it in your capable hands. But what I will do is in the next couple of days, I will put a poll on the community tab of this channel asking all the subscribers, all the viewers of this show, whether you would like me to continue with the normal 8 p.m. slot on that Tuesday, or maybe run it a little bit earlier so we're finished by the time kickoff is at 8 o'clock, or maybe we'll have a week off and so we can enjoy the Euro Championships, and all the best for England in those. Good evening to Gary, Leicester TMD. Good evening to Dragon Junction, Alan. Good evening, Donegal Dad. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Great to see so many in the chat. So what I want to do is, because of what I always do when I get engrossed in doing these, I do forget the shout outs, don't I? So what I want to do is I'm going to select somebody that I can contact via Messenger in a moment, and I'm going to ask them to choose the first shout out of tonight's show. Okay, so be prepared. All of you that can get in touch with me via Facebook Messenger or text message or whatever, be prepared. There's going to be a message coming through to you very, very soon to choose the first shout out for today. Bearing in mind that shout out must be for somebody that's tonight here right now live in the show chat. So start thinking, everybody, who you would like to choose as the first shout out for today. Right, good evening. Everyone's saying good evening. How long do we need to say good evening to each other? Everyone's saying good evening still to one another. Right, so for those of you, it's quite bright that is on my head, a shiny spot. For those of you have seen the thumbnail, a lot of you have been already commenting on it. Ballasting, do you love it or loathe it? Me personally, I love it because I find it really therapeutic, but I know loads of people out there absolutely detest it, and many of you don't bother doing it because you feel that it's that bad of a task for your model railway. But I think a model railway really should be ballasted to give it that model authentic look. If it's not particularly ballasted, it doesn't matter, it still makes it an excellent layout, but I wouldn't really class it as a model, because a model is representing something either fictional or in real life. So in real life, there would be ballast. So me, I would say it's more of a railway, not a model railway, but more of a, not a train set, but it's a bit of an in-between, not a true model railway, but still could be classed as that. At the end of the day, most of their layout would probably be modelling something. But to really go that one step further to ensure you are modelling a railway, I personally think ballasting is something of an essential matter. So let's have a look at what everyone's thinking in chat. Somerset Andy, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Jeff Hammond's in Flint Hills. Did someone say hi, Stuart? Sorry, I thought Valley Brook was in the house there. Thomas, my layout has a Facebook page, and I am not sure how to set it up a YouTube channel. I'm also debating whether to put it on. Don't feel that you have to do a YouTube channel because you've got a model railway. You choose what you want to do. Don't feel pressured in any way, Thomas. Dragon Junction, fed up with it now. Done my bit this week. I do believe you had released a video today, Alan, Dragon Junction Mark II, and it featured ballasting. And I presume that's what you're aiming at. You're fed up with it now. But do you enjoy it? That's the thing. Charlie McGowan's in. Good evening. Asking Chelmsford Junction, what's happening on your layout or goal? Yes, Peter did release a video earlier on. I've not yet watched it, but I will do. People replying to Thomas in regards to the YouTube channel. Northern Rails 44. Hi, Jason. How are you? I am very well. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for joining us tonight. Looking forward to tomorrow's WWS and Worley dual stream tomorrow. My layout is not ballasted as of yet. Haven't fixed the layout. For those that aren't ballasted yet, then like yourself, Charlie, do you intend to ballast? That's a question for the future, I assume. Yes, mate. That. Oh, right. Okie dokie. Says Alan. That's the ticket, Thomas. It's your railway. Good stuff. Seemed a good idea at the time. Yes, sometimes when it gets a bit too much of ballasting, you think, oh, gotta do that ballasting. But I find it's a bit easier to do a small amount at a time than doing loads all at once. Now, tonight, we are going to do some ballasting live on stream, the way I do it. I'm going to show you how I do it. We're going to be ballasting the main lines, and we may also finish off the upper line, getting that one. So that was temporarily ballasted, but there is still a few little bits and bobs on that one. I may not bother doing that as of yet because I've got to put the foot crossing in at the top from the footbridge. But the main lines all the way around to this corner just behind me, roughly where you see this camera, which will be in use a little bit later on, they are definitely ready now for ballasting. So I'm going to show you how I do it and the simple equipment that I'm going to be using for giving the effect. And I'm also going to show you the difference effect of what the ballast looks like, obviously, when you first lay it, and how it looks on this layout when it is glued down. Because the ballast I use changes colour when it's been glued down. It changes colour to a more natural, real ballast look, in my opinion. So we'll come to that in a moment. So people talking, Dinmore Junction's in, good evening. Hillbilly Railroad Road, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Yes, I think I will, given it's not going anywhere, but with my present configuration, I most likely will not ballast at all. No problem, Charlie. People still saying hello to one another. Moreland Model Railway, Andy says, I enjoy ballasting. Me too. Do you find it therapeutic? Or do you just simply love doing it because the finished result looks it's brilliant by the end of the day? I have got a lot of low relief kit to build before I start ballasting. Excellent. That's from Somerset Andy. Flymo, with my layout being round my front room, my home help would quit me if I showed her a bag of ballast. That's a brilliant one, Flymo. People still saying good evening to one another. At what point do you ballast, before or after scenic, says Donegal Dad. Now, before, I used to do it before doing any scenics. But what I found is I've ended up having to chip away at the ballast to add scenics later on in a better way. i.e. with cable trunking, that sort of stuff, little bits and bobs around the layout, point motors and stuff like that. And also the edges, the weeding on the edges of the rails, off the edge of the line up to the maybe a hedge or fence or whatever. I find ballasting after the scenics have been done is actually the better option. I've previously, most of this has been done before scenics, but I've started to revert the other way around because I think it does give a better effect. Now, there is still a few bits and bobs of scenics on this area still to be done, but it won't intrude on the ballasting at all. In fact, I may be doing some touch-ups after the ballasting on the edge of the tracks, but I need to get that ballasting done before I can do that bit. So it's ready, and it's ready. It's okay. And yes, ballasting after scenics, in my opinion, is the better deal. East Midlands train spotter EMR, hi all at Barnabas Junction, good evening to you. Hillbilly Railroad says ballasting is relaxing. Yes, relaxing indeed, and yes, therapeutic. Morland, yeah, both. It's therapeutic and looks good when it's done. Yes, definitely. Simon says I haven't ballasted anything yet. Will be time. Chelmsford Junction, I've just started using IPA to do ballasting. Well, I have got some in here ready for doing it, and we'll talk about the stuff we're going to be using very soon. There are two different types of ballasting, all the best ballast for mainline, fine ballast, or dust for yards. Yes, there are lots of different ballast. I have got 3 different types of ballast here. My main lines, I'll show you in a moment what actually I use, but for areas that are like the TMD, that's got a finer ballast on it, purely because it's a smaller area and it just gives a better effect for the TMD than the larger ballast that I use for the mainline tracks. And I'll explain that more in a moment. Dragon Junction says, my ballasting is 18 mins into the movie if you need to see, guys. Excellent stuff. Right. Can't pronounce that. Something King. Oh, it's King Fox Junction 46. Hi, Jason. Hi to you. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Aaron of Well and Onwards. Hello from New Zealand, lads and ladies. Good evening to you, Aaron. I'm with you, Jason, on that. Thank you very much, Gary. Getting that fine, gritty finish off the small ballast and grease and all that art, says to Thomas. Owen, sorry I'm late. How are you? I am very fine. Thank you very much, Owen. Humanity Junction, Heath. Wow, not seen you for ages. Hello, all. Been a while. I hope everyone has been well. Yes, indeed. We're all enjoying some lovely fine weather right now. And if you should be able to hear the birds singing away. Wow, DRS68, long time no see. Great to see you here. I hope everything's been okay for you. I remember the last time you were having, there was a few reasons why you were a bit distant, but I hope everything's okay now with you. And it's great to see you here again, DRS68. Matthew Whitmore, good evening to you. Hello and good evening to Owen. That's DRS. Evening, Flymo. I'm not too bad, thanks. Off work on compassionate grounds. Hello and again. Oh, okie dokie to DRS68. Hope everything will be fine for you. Martin Searsmar, I hope I pronounced that right. Until I glued down the ballast, I never had rail issues. So now I've had to relay a lot of track and I'm not happy about it. Yes, that is some of the issues. If you don't get that ballast down right, you can in the future end up with track issues. Now, I do believe that is a lot more of a problem with lower gauge track, like code 75, because the rails being so much lower, the ballast, you've really then got to use some more finer ballast because it really gets in the way of like the flanges of your wheels on the train. So yeah, it's ballasting, you've got to be really careful. What I usually do, that top area has been ballasted for ages, and like I like to do is run a really heavy train for a while over the ballast to make it settle. But I'm going to show you an alternative technique because the train basically vibrates the rails and makes the ballast settle down in the sleepers and such. But I'm going to show you a quick way of getting around that to speed things up. Got shot, Jason. Going to have tea with the family. No problem, Gary. I hope you enjoy it. What were you having? Anyone know where I can get a replacement 150 plough? I can't find anywhere online. I do know they are difficult to get hold of. Peter Spares may have them. If not, local model shops in their odds and sods boxes, very possibly you'll find one. Enjoy your tea. Thank you. It says from Flymo. Gluing ballast down doesn't allow for expansion and contraction. It kind of doesn't, no. But what it does is you're not gluing the rails down, you're gluing the sleepers down with the ballast. So as long as you've got gaps between your rail joints, do never butt your track up right up to each other. As long as you've got a good enough gap between your rails, when the rails expand, they will expand into them gaps on each section between each piece. Always ensure you've got your gaps. Right, so I'm going to now message. I'm going to message somebody. Let's get that message. Here we go. So who's going to be requested? Right, I've just messaged somebody to ask that who the first shout out of tonight's show is. Remember, we do 3, and so we'll get some more. So the first shout out request has just been sent. I will await their reply, and then we will go ahead with the first shout out. But in the meantime, let me talk about the ballast that I use. So the ballast I use for the main line is Javis ballast. I'll just bring it to the camera. There it is. Now this is my second bag that I've used throughout the entire layout, and I'm not even halfway through this bag. In fact, I think I was given this bag, actually, the first bag. These are, what size bags are these? 7-pound bags. This is reference number, and I always remember this reference number because it's my initials, JFG7. It's Javis 7-pound fine ballast chips. Now, this is really, really good stuff. It's a mixture of larger ballast, a mixture of fine ballast, and the dust as well. But what I found is this stuff, let me see if I can show you. Let me just get my spoon. I'll just show you a small amount on the camera. I'm not sure if it'll pick up. It's trying to. I'm trying to tilt it so it doesn't spill. No, it's not going to. Sorry about that. Well, I'll show you closer on another camera in a moment. But what I found is this stuff changes colour once you glue it. And with the fine weather, it's extremely ideal in the loft or in a shed maybe to do ballasting because it dries super fast in this warm weather. Unlike if you do it in the winter, I've done some ballasting in the winter, even just a small section of track. In fact, it was this section over here before I ripped it back up and started again. And it took me over, in fact, it took about 10 days for the ballast to dry. And because I did it in winter when it was bitterly cold up here, and it just took almost forever. So the layout was actually out of use for nearly 2 weeks because the ballast was just taking so long to dry. But in this lovely warm weather, it's the perfect time for ballasting track. So that is why tonight's show is about ballast. Do you love it or do you loathe it? I want to know. Right, so thank you very much. I have just been informed of from the person I contacted of tonight's first shout out. Now the first, I'm going to say who that. Well, and what we'll do is let's click this. So first shout out for today is indeed, thank you very much to my person I contacted. The first shout out has just gone for his tea. It is indeed Gary, Leicester Station and TMD. So big shout out if my moderators would very kindly grab a link for his channel. So it's Gary over at Leicester Station TMD. He has been chosen as tonight's first shout out for tonight, for the YouTube Tuesday show tonight. Remember, if you want to be a shout out on the channel, you must be here on the show and in the chat, active in the chat. Excuse me. No worries, that can be another one. He's just realized he's actually gone for his tea and just tried to change his mind, but sorry, done it already. But yes, Gary, you have been chosen. Oh, by the way, tonight's refreshments brought to you, not sponsored or anything, just what I enjoy. Pink Hooch, alcoholic raspberry lemonade. Oh, and that's cold. Been in the fridge all day, ready for tonight's show. Right, again, West Junction TMD is saying he's loved it and giving it a load of thumbs up. Yeah, remember, give this video some thumbs up, guys, if you're enjoying it. Humanity Junction, Ballast. Never heard of the stuff, or maybe I have, and I have just blocked it from my mind due to the PTSD from ballasting my track. I take it you don't like it then, Heath. At the moment, it's like quick drying cement. Yes, super. Jason, I was watching live, but I am now 4 minutes behind. Sorry. If anyone is behind on the stream, if you just tap on your screen, and in the bottom, you'll see a dot with live. If that dot is grey, you're behind on the live stream, because you can go back on it. If it is red, you're in the current stream time. So there's a little bit of a tip on YouTube watching streams, because you can go back. Thank you very much. Flymo is on the ball there, posting the link in for Gary's channel, Gary Leicester Station and TMD, and the channel name is Gaz Class 58, because he loves his 58s. He's got a lot of them. Simon, the Railway Enthusiast 83. I'm a Guinness man. Not much of a fan of Guinness, unless it's got a bit of black currant in it. Not too bad then. Still drinking hooch. Yes, Heath, still drinking it. I love this stuff. I prefer it than the lemon one, actually. It's very refreshing. Right, so I'm going to switch camera and let's take you down to track level. No, I don't want to share screen. Pressing the wrong buttons. Right, so hopefully I'm clicking on the right one. Yes. And for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the scenic area that I did recently. More details will be coming. I've got loads of layout updates. Oh, by the way, for those that you want to see layout updates early than public viewing, those that are level 3 and above of channel membership get access to early video publications on my channel. And one has already been released, and there's another one coming very soon. Right, so I'm just going to adjust the position of that. Just lift it up. I have got a torch actually just behind. Oh, sorry. Just made everyone feel sick. Helps if I actually tighten the camera. Very sorry about that, everybody. Yes, so check out Gary of Leicester Station TMD. If you're not subscribed, then please do so. Remember, when you do subscribe, please interact with that channel. Remember also to click the notifications bell to receive future notifications of any videos that are uploaded on that channel and any other channel that you are subscribed to. So congratulations to Gary for tonight's first channel shout out. That's a very good shout out. Good layouts. That's from Bernie. Watch Jawtooth. I can see what you mean. Hit the like. We only have 10. Only 10. Gary is 491. Can we get him to 500? That would be actually excellent. Heath over at Humanity Junction, can you keep an eye on that for me, please? That would be brilliant. Stockton Junction, I don't mind ballasting, but my new layout is going to be pretty big, so there's going to be a lot to do this time round. So I may start hating it. Well, if you do it in small amounts, you won't hate it. And you'll see the results of your work as you progress, and it'll encourage you to do a bit more. And Stockton, oh, and hello everybody. So good evening to Stockton Junction. Thanks for joining us. 4292 apparently says Flymo now. Oh, going up. Dave Smith, good evening, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Hope you are well. And yes, we are too. And it's lovely and warm up here. It's about 20. I don't know how everyone's coping with sheds and layouts in lofts. I think Bernie said it's about 30 degrees in his loft, but I've got a loft window which has helped considerably with circulation of air up here. And it's about 20, right now it's about 23, 24 degrees. Right, so we're going to be ballasting this main line from just underneath the camera. You did see it just before, and that's going to be coming all the way around. But we'll change the camera angles as we go along. But what I'm going to do first is we need to remove the footbridge. So let me just lift that out of place. That was the reason why it was done like that. So now we get full access to the track. People saying good evening. I'd rather pay someone when it's time for my loft layout, says Owen. Come on, guys. He only needs 7 more. Come on, guys. Let's get Gary while he's having his tea. Let's get Gary to 500 subscribers. Subscribed Gary for a long time now. I have been subscribed to Gary from day 1 of his channel. 594 just subscribe, or is it 494? Hemel down, excellent stuff. Remember, interact with the channel. Go on his latest video and post a comment on his latest video, and he's going to get flooded with notifications then while he's having his tea that you have just subscribed after hearing about his shout out on the Barnabas Junction YouTube Tuesday show. Let's see how many notifications he can get. Right, so let me just grab the ballast again, and we've got it on the camera. Right, so this is the ballast. And there's the number. Fine ballast chips. And while we've got this close camera, I'll see if we can get a view of the ballast. There you can see it. Let me just get a spoonful of it. That's better. We're getting a good view of this now. There's the ballast. You can see how fine that is and how grey it is. Very granite looking. Because that's what it is, crushed granite, and that changes color when it's glued, which is great stuff. And as you can see, it's a mixture of different size ballast in. You see there's lots of fine ballast in there, as well as the larger stuff, which is great for ballasting. Now, these are actually quite cheap. I think these are only about £10 for this full bag, so it is rather a cheap option for ballasting. Now, what I do is I'm going to be using PVA to stick it down, because then if it needs to come back up again, it can just be wet. I've got isopropyl alcohol in here to soak the ballast for to cut surface tension, but also I've got washing up liquid to help with that as well. And obviously, the most important thing is water. Now, the mixture, because it is very, very warm up here, and it will dry quite quickly, I can add a bit of an extra thinner consistency of the mixture. So usually when it's kind of like quite cool up, I'll use about 60 PVA to 40% water mix. But I'm going to do about 50-50 today, because it'll dry super fast. On the nice straight tracks, I use a ballast spreader, but that does not work brilliantly. They are good, they're great for speed, but they don't always give a perfect ballasting. And we'll show why in a moment. But on straight track, it's great. Ooh, squeaky, squeaky. And we'll progress through the reasons why this is not 100% of an excellent idea, because what I also like to finish off and do some touching up is use a little tiny soft brush to move ballast along in certain opportunities when this does not work that brilliant, because this, I find that the holes in this, they are fine for this ballast, but I find these holes might be a little bit too big, and they do actually release a bit too much ballast at times Because if you go too fast, it doesn't release hardly anything. If you go too slow, it seems to release loads, but it does not give a good leveling between the tracks. It still leaves too much ballast between the two rails, so you still need to get rid of that. And I find a brush like that, which is a great little brush, it's just the size between the two rails, and basically just go along like that and brush the ballast off the top of the sleepers and off away from the rails. That is the main cause of derailments once you've ballast. If you've got ballast up against the inner side of your rails when you glue it down, when the trains run over and the flanges of those wheels hit that ballast, they will derail. You've got to ensure that between those rails is very, very clear of ballast, so you just got the ballast actually in between the two sleepers, or so many sleepers. Just looking, bye footbridge for now. I've got to get a window fitted, says Bernie. Yes, highly recommend it. If you've got a loft layout, get a window fitted. I know they can be expensive, but it's highly worth it in the end. Already sub to Gary. Dave Smith, yeah, I'm good. Says thanks very much to Flymer. I was going to say that the footbridge is looking good. It is, and we will put it back in a moment once we got this area. Did you ever sell? No, I didn't. St. Mary's Church, already sub to Gary. So yeah, 494, thought so. I tickled the like button. Flymo, is that okay? Yes, give it a tickle. How does the Javis taste? Gritty. I use a mix of Javis and Woodland Scenics. That's what the other one I've got. It's the Woodland Scenics Fine Mix Ballast. That's the one I use over on the TMD. I think it's like cereal. I'm trying to get subs to 313 off the big 1,000, so doing well so far. Got to start buying a few bits ready for a comp at 1K. I like crunchy peanut butter, so many I would like this. Dwight Curley, good evening, thanks for joining us. I use Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast on my main lines and depot. I use the Pico Ballast, says Pete at Chelmswood. Hey, Gary's back. I'm back, Jason. Nice jacket potato for tea. You got it. Crikey, that went down fast. Anyone remember grape nuts? It's a bit like that stuff, apparently. Never heard of grape nuts. You are the shout out #1 this week. Gary, Leicester, TMD. Flymo's letting him know. I use my fingers to move the ballast around. I have a great little tool for laying the ballast down. Thanks, guys. Yes, we tried to get you to 500 subscribers before you came back. Very interesting. Now, I'm just going to come to something else about ballasting. Jason, could you give Mark from Main Trains? I'm going to come to that in a moment, Clive. Don't worry. I have been to JC and I've seen the layout in person, and the scenic area he's working on is really fab. Better in person. Thank you very much, Pete. Martin, they have glue spreaders. Yes, let's all shout out for Mark. Yes, indeed, Alan, coming to that in a moment. I have got a little bit of an update. I've been talking to him. I tampered the track down with a wooden spoon, as it does help. Yeah, I'm going to come to that, Mark. You're all ahead of me. Oh, I can hear a bee. Got to be careful because I've just had to help a neighbour move a beehive which was developing in his back garden. We haven't destroyed it; we've moved it. Yeah, and just give me a moment. The bee is in the loft, so I'm just going to have to try and catch it. No, where are you? Where have you gone? Can you hear it buzzing around the microphone? I'm trying to catch it. Come on, out. It's gone. Buzz off. Buzzer. Right. Right, let's get to it. Right, so obviously this big bag, I'm not going to be able to tip it into there. So I'll use something like this. You've seen this before on the show. And I'm going to move the camera just fractionally down a little bit back to where you were at the beginning. So you can see there, that's where the old ballasting starts. You see that colour there? Yeah? See this colour of the ballast here? I need to adjust that a bit more. Okay, that's better. So can you see this ballast here? That is what this ballast I'm going to lay down looks like when it's glued. And you can see it's got a more of a natural colour. But you're going to see the difference between that and this and unglued ballast now. You see the difference. We fill the spreader up. I've just seen there's a little bit of black stuff going there. Let's get rid of that. There it is. Now, these spreaders don't last, the ballast in them don't last long. So I'm going to try and do this and follow the spreading. So what I'm going to do first, because I've got to go up to the original ballast, is go forward a little bit, giving it a shake, settle it down. Over the original. It will sprinkle everywhere. And this is the reason why I think the holes aren't right on this, for this. There we go. Because there's grassing on that side, it won't lay on that side. So I'm going to show you what I do if this does not work. Now you can see it's not giving an even spread. This is why it's not always a brilliant tool to use. Okay. You see how that's actually not moving? It's not doing anything. Yeah, that's actually doing nothing now. So what I'm going to do is just have to bang it to get it to release. That means there's a few stones in there that might be a bit too big for it. This is why I use a different technique most of the time to give a better result. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the next track next to it, because this isn't brilliant. Most of my track is not done using this. I got it because I was advised that it was better. Right, okay, so that is using the spreader. It's not good, it's pretty much terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out of that spreader. And I'm going to show you the other way. The faster and better way of doing it. This will speed your ballasting up dramatically. Using the pot again, literally spread it like so. Heap it onto the track. Yeah, just heap it onto the track like so. Tilting the camera up so you can follow me. Just put absolutely loads on it, because we might actually find that will probably be enough for the entire whole corner, because that's wherever I put it, the brush comes in. So if we go back down without wobbling you all over the place, so you can see the difference between ballast spreader and ballast not spreader. Because what we do now is I will basically push the ballast off the centers and have it so it goes over the edge of the rail. This is the bit I find really therapeutic. And you see, obviously it builds up, so we just brush that back on. I want ballast in the grass area as an overspill over that side, basically pushing it, and you just finally keep pushing it down the tracks. Always best to go down the center first, because that extra ballast that you've put on will fill any areas that have not covered over. Now I don't use any cork underlay to raise the track bed up, because my whole layout baseboard is covered in foam, so that is enough for me to stop the deadening sound. I didn't want to raise it. I wanted to just the foam is 6mm thick, so securing the track down, which had to be done with pins, needed to go through the sleepers, and I'll come back to the camera in a moment. Going all the way to the end, well, as far as I've ballasted. And you can see, so what you do, I'm going to now go back the other way. The edging, I'm going to brush it on, back onto the track and push it down the opposite way. And you basically just keep doing this until you get the desired look that you want. Now, I don't want a big thick shoulder on the edge because it wouldn't be higher than the rails, that is for sure. It would be lower than the rails. I'll change over to another camera in a moment so you can see a bit further around. So I'm just working this now. Right, so let's bring that now. I'll brush back the opposite way, and I'll just keep working on it. This is actually the bit I really do enjoy the most. Laying this, doing the ballast laying like this. I do find it really very therapeutic. Obviously, we're doing this during a live stream tonight on the show, so I'm not obviously being as much therapeutic as it normally would be as talking to you guys and girls. And I'm coming back round now to the camera, working the ballast down between the rails. Now, before I did this, I did go through and replace all the, fill in all the gaps with the missing sleepers. In the past, I have regularly forgotten to do it. And I see I'm going back again. And I just basically keep doing this until I am happy with what we have in the middle. So I'm going to keep working at this. Let's brush that now onto the edge. Brush the shoulder down a bit into the grassland, or the weeds, or whatever you want to call them. A bit much there, so I'll brush that back in. That's better. It's looking quite good. Right. Nowhere near ready. As you can see, I've just turned the camera again now. If we look there, you can clearly see the difference between the colours. That is before glue, that is after glue. So you can see the difference in the colour between them, what it gives. The areas in between, I will fill those in afterwards. But what I'll just show you is to spread out the edges between the rails. I literally will just get the brush and dab it like that to flatten it out a bit. Yeah. Now, another thing you need to do, as obviously we mentioned about the inner of the rails, yeah, making sure they are clear for the flanges of the trains. Yeah. You also need to clear the outer edge of the rails, the sleepers on the outer edges, because the sleepers wouldn't be covered over necessarily. So literally just go along the rail like so, either side, clearing those sleepers off, and then again just go. It's basically just manipulating the ballast until you're happy with it. Yeah. That area is actually not that far off ready, I think. That little bit there. So you can see we didn't get hardly any ballast there. We got a good amount of ballast on there. So I need to add a bit more ballast to this area here. I'll just spread that over a bit. Never start gluing it down until you are 100% happy with it. So what I'm going to do, if I just get a bit more ballast, we'll do the opposite side. Touch it up now the decent way. And we'll go so far. I'll fill in the middle area. I'm going to be adding a lot of weeds and stuff between these as well. I'll just do up to there. And again, we start to work. I'll just spread that out first. We'll start to work between the tracks, spreading the ballast about. So the sleepers are visible and uncovered. We don't want any flanges of any trains catching on any ballast. And I have to admit, I've only ever had one instance where after I've ballasted, I have had a bit of a problem, and that was actually on the town high street area where that single line is. I went and forgot to, well, basically I didn't clear it properly, and it dried and ended up with some trains not liking it. So I had to get a screwdriver and a sharp blade and start hacking away at the ballast around the track. And so it wasn't good, and probably, as the guy said earlier, it's caused issues afterwards. Obviously, around point work, that is a very delicate issue, and that's a matter for another time. Just get rid of the edge and spread out any loose ballasting to fill any gaps between the underneath area, but not getting rid of it too much, because it does have a bit of a lump to it in places. Spread it around. So again, I'm just going to go over the edges now. I'll keep going at it until I'm happy. And we're going to have a look at the chat, seeing what's been said. People, different ideas. Now, some of this ballast might not be quite level between the sleepers and leaving some gaps. Now, someone mentioned about tapping it in. Well, that simply is the score. That is what I do. Depending on how bad it is, you could literally just tap on the rails like so, which will basically vibrate the ballast down between the sleepers, ensuring that the sleepers are clear. We'll do it on this side as well. Don't use a hammer. Do not use a hammer to hit the rails to vibrate them, because if you've got nickel silver rails, especially if you've got nickel silver, a hammer will dent the rails and make it bend. Don't use a hammer to tap on the rails. Use a tight small block of wood or a paintbrush handle or something like that, or even just like a teaspoon, and just tap on the rails. You just want to create a bit of vibration. And as you're doing it, you will see the ballast bouncing about, settling down between the rails. You may even see the ballast attempt to build up into areas such as, you can see it on the camera just there, an area I've just tapped. Just move it along. There's an area there where ballast is actually just built up on top of the sleepers after I've tapped it. So I'm going to brush that along again until we come to the end of the area that's done. I've sat up here in the past for many, many hours doing ballasting. The wife will agree on this, and lost track of time doing the ballasting. You see it's building up now. And you basically just got to keep working at it, as I keep saying, until you're happy with it. If you're not happy with it, stop, have a think, have a look. You can easily take it back up again before you glue it. Don't do any gluing until you are definitely happy with it. So let's have a look at the chat. Slight feedback on the chat, apparently. That might be because of that. Thanks for letting me know. Okie dokie. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, using the clear plastic pots of your cars as a great way to spread ballast. Just catching up on the chat. Right. So, is Gary still here? Gary, if you are still here after your jacket potato, who's clever? Yes, Everard is very clever. A lot of my techniques I've come for on this layout are all resultant after watching his videos. So engrossed that you don't notice the light fading. Always good. That's turning out all right, Jay. Potato, says Finneton. So you can see there's still bits to add. I need a little bit more ballasting just along this back edge here because it's a bit thin. Pretty simple to achieve. So obviously I don't really want to be putting it on the rails, so I'm just going to sprinkle a bit along the end. This is the bit under the footbridge. Can't see what I'm doing there. It's behind the camera. There we go. That's just filled that in a little bit. And again, back to it. Dampen it down. Spread it out. There's a bit of a hump in the scenics there. Now, reason why I say ballast first, scenic first, is because when the ballast dries, put it this way, the real world wasn't ballasted first. The real world was weeds, trees, bushes, and everything, and grasses first, and then cleared for the railways. So you have to treat it. You're better off to treat it in the same under the same environment. So you're adding ballast on top of scenics that are already there, and then you can touch up with additional weedage that comes through that ballast, if you understand what I mean. So I'll just go over the edges of, because I've done that now, clear the sleeper edging. Oh, thank you. Love hiding in Melvin Fackler. Good evening. Thank you very much for the very generous donation of $5. Love hiding in the bushes, he says. Oh, where are you? Where is he? Is he in here? Or is he down here? Thank you very much, Melvin. That's very generous and very kind of you. Indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Hey, Heath, which one? Evening. Oh, Digger's in. Digger, good evening, Digger. Thanks for joining us. Everyone's saying hello, Melvin. Hello, and so yes, and hello, Melvin. Thank you very much for that very kind, generous donation of $5. Is that your payment so you can come out from hiding in the bushes? God, I'll just tilt that up a little bit so you can see the bushes a bit. Can anyone see Melvin in the bushes? I'm getting pretty much to the point where I'm happy with that now. Just dampen that down a little bit more. Push it down into the grasses. And just quickly brush over it again. It's not a race. There's no race. Obviously, I'm doing it a little bit quicker than normal on this live stream so I can give you some idea of how I do this, so you get some ideas for yourself, hopefully. Let's go over the edges of them on that side again. Thing is this, it's not a race. You do it in your own time, and you can see the result that's been achieved there with that ballasting, and that will eventually, if I can just move that torch, that will change to that color once it's been glued. So we're going to be doing some gluing in a moment. I'm going to show you how I do my gluing. We're going to glue this area here, if I can get the clamp on the camera to re-clamp. No, it doesn't want to. Apologies for throwing you around. Shanks. Yeah, all right. Chill it out. Chill it out. Gary is back in the chat. Good evening. Right, but great, Gary. Right, Gary, could you... right, he's just messaged me, actually. And he's messaged me with exactly what I was going to ask him. Thank you very much, then. Thank you very much indeed. He has just done what he was about. You're telepathic, Gary. So well done. Thank you very much, Gary. I dare say you can spread any in the middle you don't want will spread down a bit. Yeah, indeed. Anything, it will just basically spread out. No problem there. So, shout out number 2 time, I believe. So, shout out number 2 is Brian of Finnerton Central Model Railway. Now, Brian has been doing some fantastic work rebuilding a all-new layout of Finnerton Central, Finnerton Parkway, and I can't remember the other one, so I do apologise, Brian. Fantastic videos coming. I know he's just released a latest update on the construction of the layout, the all-new layout, and it's really, really going to town. And one thing about Brian and his build is he's trying his best to do a model railway build on almost a zero budget. He's trying to source all his materials, where he's up to so far, free as best as possible, freely from companies and friends and things like that, and others. So yes, Brian of Finnerton, yes, Finhampton, that's the other one. Thank you very much. So Brian of Finnerton Central Model Railway, I'd highly recommend you check out his channel, follow on his layout build. He's been, as he put in right at the beginning, Brian hates wiring. Hashtag Brian hates wiring. That's next year, he says. Rightio. So yes, check out Brian. Go check out his channel. Please do subscribe. Comment on his latest video saying you've subscribed after hearing about him here on the YouTube Tuesday show, Barnabas Junction. Also, do please interact with the channel. When you do also subscribe, click on the bell and select for all notifications to make sure you don't miss out on any future video uploads or maybe any live streams that he may do. And I do believe he may have some live streams coming soon if he has the ability to do so. Finhampton is the top level. Wow. Clive, Jason, I have to go now. See you all next week. Stay safe and well, mate. Goodbye. Thank you from Northern Ireland. Thank you very much, Clive. Clive, keep an eye out on the community tab for a poll going out about whether I should do the 2 weeks time show. What your thoughts are regarding the football. Watch the jokes at the end. Yeah, Brian has always some. Brian hates wiring. Yeah, Brian always has a few great bloopers and jokes at the end. And Brian too. And keep the old microwave hidden. Yes, he's doing an absolutely superb job. He has absolutely shredded a microwave oven. Yes, you heard it right. A microwave oven to create a turntable. If you're thinking, what? Go check out his videos. He is absolutely set on getting it right, getting it to work, and he is doing an absolutely superb job to achieve that. So yes, he's going to have some glowing reports on that. Yeah, get it, microwave glowing. I'll give up. I'll carry on with my ballasting. So don't forget, coming up, we've also got Modeller's Moments and a little bit of an extra thing to be talking about as well, courtesy of this week's Modeller's Moments selected. Quick refreshments. Boom, boom. Yeah, bit of a Basil Bush moment there. Right, so, what I need to do is now I need to soak the, first of all, where's my water, my normal water bottle, because as soon as I apply the water, you're going to see that ballast change colour. Right, so let me just adjust the camera again, take you a bit down, so you can see the original ballast and you can see the new ballast. Yeah, watch what happens as soon as I spray water on it. See it change colour? The new ballast now matches the old ballast. Obviously, it's not glued down yet. And that's the colour it maintains. It does not go back to the light grey afterwards, which you still can see here. Okay? Just move the camera again. That was only a light spray. Now I'm just spraying it with water because it's required for the glue. And I will be applying, and as I progress down, now there is a bit of washing up liquid in this water as well to allow the water. Don't do this with the electrics on, by the way. Make sure all your power to your track is off. So I'm just going to go down as far as I've done, which is just here. We get a nice soaking, but we're not finished there, because what I want to do now, it's the first time I've actually used isopropyl alcohol IPA. This helps break the surface tension of the glue, so I'm going to give that, and now this will evaporate, so you don't need to worry. So I'm going to spray that over, a good spraying over of that, because when I apply the glue and water mix, it will allow it to soak down into between the ballast mixture. So now what I'm doing is I've got a jug here. Got a jug, nicked it from the kitchen. I'm going to add an amount of glue. There we go, that'll do. That's 100 milliliters of glue. I don't want to do too much at once. And what I've also got is plenty of water. So let me just adjust that. So in there, I've just put 100 milliliters of PVA glue. And I'm going to try find something now. I didn't think of this bit. I forgot about this bit. Let me just go and get another jug, because I need to measure out so much water. Okay, this will do what we used last week. So I'm now going to add water to that. Now, a lot of people say use warm water. A lot of people say use cold water. Well, this is lukewarm. I'm in the middle. So I'm going to add water to that now. This is going to be 50-50. A bit more. You can go more water if you wish. Yep. There we go. So we've added water. And now I'm basically just going to stir that up with something. I'll use the brush the opposite end. So stir that up. Love the smell of IPA. You can smell it. Okay, and what I'm also going to do, drop a washing up liquid, just a drop. I'll do. Because obviously we've got the IPA on, so it doesn't really matter that much. Now there are many ways you can apply this, depending on if you're actually doing it in a rather delicate area. For delicate areas, I'll show you what I use. I don't think I'll need to use it today. If I was applying this in a delicate area, I would use this large syringe where the end of it is cut off quite large. This is really good for applying in intricate, delicate areas, especially around point work, so you can deliver a small amount of the mixture as and when you need. But because we're doing the large area, so what I do is basically just put that in there, suck it up into there, and you can see it drips out, and at least basically just press on that, a small amount at a time will come out. But we don't need, I don't actually need to use that for this, as this is quite a large open area. Yes, I have got some squeezy sauce bottles as well. That was one of the techniques I used to use some time ago. But when you're in open areas like this, using a jug with a nice spout on it is really easy. So I don't need to worry. So I'm just going to move the camera. So basically, I'm just going to pour down the center of the trap. And the IPA and the washing up liquid will help it spread out. Now, because the IPA and the washing up liquid's in there, even though I'm applying it to the inner, it will go underneath the rails and spread out to the outer ballasting. It will stick it down. Oh, smell that lovely IPA. I'll just apply a little bit more, because it's not quite enough. And let it, when it starts pooling up, you know you've applied enough. That smells lovely. So I'll move you around to there now, and we'll do this area. Yeah, syringes can stick and split. If you got a good film within the syringe, you'll be fine. And again, we'll just go along like so, between the rails. And again, this side. And we'll do a little bit on there, because this is slightly, ever so slightly tilted. It will pretty much run that way. So this center area is actually got enough on it. Just put a little bit there and a little bit there. All right, that, how much have I used? You can see how much it goes a long way. This will probably do this entire corner, and as long as you keep an eye on that, it will last. You just add a little bit of water, maybe 10 ml, add a little bit of water every day, it will not evaporate out of there. Now, even then, though that's done, as you can see, look at the colour difference now between before and after. It matches. It looks like it's done all the way through. The only colour difference you're seeing is between there and there, and that's because this is that's some Holt Hornby track, and that's the Pico Flexi track. That's not tightened properly. I need to stop adjusting these really. Whoop, I'm wobbling you all over the place. I do apologise. There we go. So as you can see, because the IPA and the washing up liquid is in there, that ballast, that glue, has already filtered down into the ballast and pooling up underneath it. I've just noticed a little, so you can come back to, if you see any ballast that may have washed up against your rails or on your rails, you can still manipulate it even after you've glued it down. I've just seen a little bit up against that rail there where it's washed down. And a tiny amount, so I just slide the brush along, it will clear off the edges of the trackwork, making sure there's no ballast up against that inner rail so flanges don't catch on it. And I might as well do the other one as well, because I can see the odd tiny stone just up against, and we don't want, although just a small screwdriver will just literally clear it off. We don't want to cause any issues. Right, so that's it. That is ballasting. Growlers in. Good evening, Jason. Late to the party. Been ballasting. I sure have. As you can see, we've been working on this corner, and look at the transformation. I've even just sat here on camera. I'm seeing obviously the camera image as well, and looking in person. The transformation between before and after is phenomenal. It really does set off the track work so much better than before. So I'm just going to switch to another camera so we can see where it's not ballast. You can see obviously how far around I've got to come. We're currently, it's quite a large area. You can just see the other camera over there. So what I've done during today is we've gone from just underneath this camera to where that paintbrush is, and you see there's a lot more to come round to do all the way round. Basically all the way round I can do up to that point there can be done. Yeah, just moving that back. So all the way up to that point there can be done ballasting. So that is the plan. Just tilt that camera up and just move it back around again. So we go round. In fact, I'll lift the camera up. So there's where we've done. From there round, we've done up to there with the gluing. There's the fresh ballast unglued. You can see the difference in the colour. And I'm going to be doing all the way around to that point, just before that point there. The reason why I'm not going to go any further is because, and I have already prepped, is I'm thinking of putting a point motor in there. And also on that one, I'm thinking of adding point motors into them. So we'll just tilt that up. There we go. Yes, it takes time, but it does look good on the layout. It does add that finishing touch to track work to give it that proper realistic viewing. Just have a swift drink. Dugmore Junction, good evening to you. Good evening indeed. Remember, we've got Modeller's Moment coming up very soon now. But what we're going to do is we're going to have the third and final shout out. Let me just check something. So Brian, if you can PM me who you would like the third and final shout out for tonight to be, that would be greatly appreciated. Brian, if you can contact me and let me know who the third and final shout out for tonight will be. Once I receive confirmation, we will do that shout out. So what do you think, guys? Do you think that was quite quick? I do recommend the IPA. That does help out a considerable amount. As I say, it's the first time I've used it, and straight away the results I feel are a lot better than what I was producing before. It gives a quicker settling down of the gluing, and like I say, you can add more glue if you feel that you've not added any more, but obviously you can't take it off. So don't add too much. Always add what looks okay, but no, don't flood it. And it will obviously dry and evaporate, but it does give the overall effect of a good, realistic ballasted track. St. Mary's saying hi to Ewan. Chelmsford, YouTube Tuesday is now mobile, listening in the car while sat outside BGS bingo, waiting for the missus to come out. Hope she's, fingers crossed, she's had a win. Dugmore Junction, cracking job, Jason. Looking forward to getting in my cabin tomorrow night and doing some track planning. Excellent, Dugmore. We're mobile folks in the car with Chelmsford. So remember, Brian, your chosen shout out for tonight must be from somebody who is here now, live in tonight's show, live chat. Just looking back through everyone's chat. While we do so, I will mention main. Oh, Brian's just messaged me. Thank you very much, Brian. Okie dokie. Fair enough. In fact, Alan's just sent me a picture of his ballasting. Oh, it's the outside bit, Alan. It's the same kind of corner as well. Oh, excellent stuff. That was good. That was Alan. Right, so Brian has sent me his request for the shout out, for the third and final shout out. But what I need to do is come on to Mark over at Main Train Eastport. Unfortunately, he has been admitted into hospital, and he's not been in a good way. He did do a video launching a competition a week or so ago. He was at home when he launched that, but since he was at home and launched the competition, he has sadly had to be admitted into hospital with he is very poorly. Obviously, if you don't know about Mark over at Main Train, please go check out his channel. He does have some severe physical disabilities, and we all support him greatly throughout the community, across the wide community. And I have been in contact with him directly, and he is telling me he's puckering up. He is looking forward to getting out of hospital, but it's going to take some time yet. He is not in a good way, but he is on the road to recovery, and we wish him all the very best from myself, and obviously I hope from all of you guys too. We do wish him all the best and to get well soon. Now, Mark has released a competition, and the competition did close, so you can't enter it now. But for those that you did join the competition, Peaks 47, Sam over at Peaks 47, did a draw of the winning 3 entries for his for Mark's competition, because he's helping him out obviously while he's in hospital, fellow squaddy, and he drew 3 winners from out of a hat of all those people that entered Mark's competition. Now, the competition is to win the embankment kits from WW Scenics. 3 kits are up for grabs, and those 3 winners that Sam picked out of the hat on a video today, just launched about 7:30 this evening, will be announced on the WW Scenics live stream tomorrow, which is from 10 a.m. So if you've entered, you need to be watching WW Scenics live stream from tomorrow, Wednesday. I've forgotten what day it is. Wednesday, tomorrow morning from 10 a.m. He will be joined by Andy of Worley Model Railway Club, because they are doing a special attempt, bit of a live build of a 009 model railway. It is that build live stream is sponsored by Pico, as they supplied the track work, the 009 track for the build. So you can watch from 10 till 1 over on the WW Scenics YouTube channel with Martin and Andy, where they'll go through it all, and then they'll have a break for lunch, and then from 2 till 4 over on the Worley channel they will be continuing with the live streaming. So make sure you subscribe to both channels, make sure you tune in and watch, because it is going to be lots of fun. There'll be lots of laughter, lots of giggles, lots of banter, and I'm sure there'll be lots of accidents, probably, where things don't always go to plan, as it does with model railways. So yes, check it out. We wish Mark all the best to get well soon. We are really praying for you. that you do make a speedy recovery, Mark. If you do get to watch this later on, all the best, my friend. Keep in touch and take care. Martin did a big wind-up. Yes, that's correct. He did. Right, yo. So, yeah, excellent stuff. I will be there to join with you all. I hope you enjoy the show. Right, so Brian has chosen the third shout out. I'm just going to check again, make sure he hasn't changed his mind. Okie dokie. No, he hasn't changed his mind. So it's Brian of Finniton Central Model Railway has chosen for the third and final shout out for this evening Bernie of Crossways Point Junction as the third shout out. A big well done to Bernie over at Crossways Point Junction. You have been selected by Brian of Finniton Central Model Railway as tonight's third and final shout out. Don't forget, we have got Modeller's Moment coming up and also a little bit of an extra coming on from that. So don't go anywhere as yet. Do go check out Bernie's channel. When you do, please do interact with that channel. When you do subscribe, please make a comment of just giving some thumbs ups on his videos, and also remember to click that bell to select and to view all future notifications of any uploads and videos he does post on his channel. So yes, there we go. Crossways Point Junction is chosen as tonight's third and final shout out. Right, so we're coming up to 1.5 hours of the stream gone by. I will continue on, obviously, with this ballasting off screen now, and we will come back to it and have a look at how it's gone by next week in the next week's episode. Don't forget, I will be doing a bit of a poll about whether the football show date. I'll give some options on what people think. Let me know. Do you want me to go for the 8 o'clock, do it earlier, or just have a week off from it? Please let me know by next week's show, and then we'll obviously do the full alert on it. But we have obviously got one final thing to do, and that is yes, indeed, it is time for Modeller's Moment. Now, I have got quite a lot of people very kindly sending in the details to be featured on Modeller's Moment. If you have not yet been selected, please don't worry. You will be coming soon, obviously, because we only do one per show. So I've had a flood of them coming in, and I will be coming with you with your Modeller's Moment in the coming episodes. So this week's Modeller's Moment is Chelmsford Junction. Now, Pete, yes, he's just got back from the bingo. So, yes, Pete has sent over a flurry of photographs of his layout, including a little short video about a little thing he has been working on. I do like that scene. I do like that little park scene. And before we see the little video, great little pub there with lots of benches on there for social distance drinking. Do like those trees. Nice bit of cherry blossom on those trees. Just missed it, obviously awaiting the graveyard. Now these are my favorite. I do like these buffer stops he's done. Nice little bit of scenic foliage on these buffer stops. And yeah, I think it's time for, he wants to tell us all about his gantry he's built. So there's the gantry. This has been scratch built from various different kits, and he's going to tell us all about it right now. Let's have a look and let's see what he's got to say. Over to Pete.
This is my scratch-built signal gantry, and it is made of different parts from different people's kits. Now, the upright spars here are made from plastrut, square box sections there and there. The actual gantry itself is a scale model sceneries walkway with fencing. The ladders at the sides here and here are also a scale model scenery kit. These are the industrial ladders with safety cage, which I have chopped to the size that I need them to. The signals, you have 4 of them. You have a 4 aspect here, 3, 3, and a 3 aspect there and there. They are from Burco and Ecom, and the box underneath here that hides all the cabling is also again a plastic strut kit.
So there we go. A brief explanation from Pete. That is this week's Modeller's Moment over at Chelmsford Junction Model Railway. So a big thank you to Pete for sending over those few little clips of the layout. Definitely worth a shuffle over there and go check out his channel. He'll highly appreciate it. He does a lot of in-depth looks on things around the model railway with electronics, detail actually on the electronics. As you can see, he's scratch built, or should I say kit bashed, those gantries, which I'm quite impressed, and I'm going to be looking at whether I can possibly recreate those signal gantries myself in the future, because one day Barnabas Junction will have gantries. It will receive electrification to make the Pendolinos and the 350s look like they're running for real. But obviously we've got to get well further on with the layouts, getting scenery and other bits and bobs, ballasting and all that lot done before I can add the catenary gear, gantries, catenary gantries. Yes. So excellent. Thank you very much, Pete, for sending that over. Do go check out his channels. He has gone more in depth, obviously, with that gantry, that light gantry and catenary on the for the layout, more in depth on his channel. Please go check it out if you want to know a little bit more in depth. I'm sure Pete will gladly have a chat with you and help you out if you've got any ideas or you want to know a bit more about how he's actually gone and built those. Have you got the link, please, for Chelmsford Junction? I think he has posted it. Yes, he has. No, actually, no, not yet. He will do very shortly. I'll build them. I'll build you them, JC. Oh, thank you very much. I'll hold you to that. Everybody, you've just heard Chelmsford Junction's just offered to build them for me. Right, now, following on from that, what I want to talk about is now Pete over at Chelmsford Junction, he's also works as a volunteer on a Heritage Railway service, rail tour services, and he's asked me very kindly, he's asked me if I can feature a bit about what he's going to be stewarding on. Now, yes, indeed, I can. So I'm just going to get the information before I hit go. Where have I posted it now? There we go. So I'm going to put on the screen, so you can, if you can watch back later on, and if I'll also post these out on the Barnabas Junction social media for everyone to look at. But what we're going to be talking about is this. This is the Shakespeare Express. And all information about these are brilliant. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out what the Shakespeare Express is. Let me just zoom in. Right, the Shakespeare Express. Vintage trains kick off a summer of fun with steam trains between Birmingham and Stratford upon Avon in both directions. If you are after a day out in Stratford celebrating a special occasion, enjoy fine foods, or simply want to experience being hauled by an iconic steam locomotive, book now. The Shakespeare Express offers Warwickshire scenery through the windows with choices of excellent value breakfast, traditional Sunday lunches, afternoon tea options in the elegant Pullman coaches. For the first time, 4 Saturday trains join the 9 Sundays to operate out and back along the Shakespeare line via Henley in Arden. Entertainment and entertainment and offerings. Let me catch where. And offerings this year include Murder on the Shakespeare Express, Mad Hatter's Tea Party, fine dining evenings and afternoon tea packages. Vintage Trains has ensured there is something for everyone this summer. On Sunday, the return journey from Stratford-upon-Avon to Birmingham will travel at speeds of up to 75 miles an hour via Dorridge and Solihull, non-stop to Tyldesley, giving passengers the experience of steam haul express of the 50s and 60s. And in full information of the service and the pricing and everything is on those, and obviously the special events that they do. Do recommend getting on something like this. I've done it myself over on the Llangollen railway line. In fact, I was the driver of the train, and it's a very big, great experience to be involved in things like this. If you want more information, I shall get you a website. It's www.vintagetrains.co.uk. So thank you very much for Pete for asking me to mention that. Definitely something worth taking out. And also, you may even get to meet the man himself, Pete of Chelmsford Junction. Look out for him stewarding at the Shakespeare Express. March West Junction TMDs go on this every year. They do a great wicker hamper deal. Fantastic. I remember travelling on this in 2011 behind 5043 Earl of Mount Edgecombe. Excuse me. I have to start charging. I'll have to start charging left out, but if you would like some, just message me on Facebook, Pete Frank Clark. There we go. So if you want some of those gantries built, then Pete will gladly produce some for you at a small cost, obviously, just towards his time and items required to build them. So get in touch with Pete at Chelmsford Junction, or you can find Pete also on Facebook. Right, so that about wraps it up for this week. I hope I've given some information for you on the ballasting. I hope it's been quite informative for you. I hope you've come away with something good. Remember, I will be putting a poll in the YouTube channel community section on about the football on the 22nd of June, if I get my dates right. Tuesday the 22nd, because obviously England are going to be playing their match at 8 o'clock. And I don't want to particularly interfere with people wanting to watch with that match. So I'm either going to go ahead with it as normal, although probably I'm going to be watching it myself, do the show earlier, or we may do maybe the show on a different date for a one-off, or we could leave it for a week. Well, I'll let you decide, guys. I will go with whatever we come up with. Excuse me. Well done, Jason. Very good show tonight, says Crossways Punk Junction. So, yes, if you've enjoyed the show, please do give the show some thumbs up. I do appreciate the thumbs up. If you have disliked the show, please click the thumbs down button twice. And remember, also subscribe and click the bell for future notifications. And if you really want to go one step further, because subscribing is completely free, it doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe to the channel. Please, if you would like to, check out the channel memberships for additional perks that are available for people behind the scenes that are not on public view directly. So yes, we will be having lots of things coming especially for those that are channel members, as well as obviously those that do support me by just simply subscribing the channel. So we'll leave it right there for now. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I do know that this weekend is going to be a scorcher, so please do stay sun savvy and enjoy the weather. I will see you again next week, same time, same place, here on Barnabas Junction with YouTube Tuesday. But until then, take care, stay safe, and best of all, keep on modelling. Ta-ra from me.